Watkins Glen is one of the world's most historic racetracks. This quiet lakeside town in western New York is transformed during race week as it hosts some of racing's most renowned series and races over the years, adding to the iconic track's mystique. The Glen has always been home to sports car racing, and today will play host to the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge, a massive multi-class field of drivers looking to make a name for themselves and achieve victory at one of the most legendary tracks in the world. The Continental Tire 150 at the Glen is right now on Fox Sports.
In the hills of New York State's wine region above the village that gave it its name, Watkins Glen International Circuit plays host to the midway race of the 2014 Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge. This is the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen. The field of 59 cars in two classes is now on track, and we're moments away from the start as we welcome you to the Glen. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Varsha with Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader. Two classes on track, the big Grand Sport cars and the high-revving street tuners all racing together, and this has been a very busy time of the year for them, Calvin. Third race in 5 weeks, and the standings have been shuffling almost every race.
It really has. The complexion of this GS Championship has changed dramatically over the last few weeks. Trent Hedman and John Edwards, they really had a grasp on things following their win at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. They then went to Lime Rock, had the dominant car that day. A miscue in communication means that they didn't pit when they should have, dropped to fourth, then they went to Kansas. Engine drama that day, 16th in place there, and also to add injury to that problem there, they also had John Edwards 8 points shy of his drive time, means he's now split in points, and what it's done, Dorsey, has really allowed a lot of these other championship contenders back in the hunt.
Yeah, it has, and usually by this time of the year, the car everybody chases, the team, is Rum Bum and the Porsche. They've had a slow start. They didn't do very well. In fact, at one point, Fall Line had them by a full race as far as points goes. That's all changed. With the snafu that they encountered, Rum Bum gets a win. So now they have a win, they have momentum, and that's a very dangerous combination.
And it looks like the dominant car this weekend might well be the Camaro Z28. For the first time, they start on pole this year with 3 cars in the top 4. Eric Curran put the pole-sitting car right up front, and moments ago, he spoke with our Brian Till.
GS has been incredibly competitive this year, and right now, Eric Curran on the pole here at Watkins Glen. Eric, when I look at it, nobody has repeated as far as victories go here, and I know you want to keep that record intact because you guys haven't won yet. You've qualified well, but the finishes aren't there. What do you need to do to get to the podium and to the top step?
Brian, we need some good luck, really. I mean, this 01 Chevy Camaro Z28 has been awesome every race. I mean, I've qualified close to the front row, not on the pole yet, but we're at Watkins Glen, one of my home tracks. So excited. We need some good luck. We need a good finish. We need to stay out of trouble, keep this 01 Yodel Camaro Z28 up front, and just go for the finish. Lawson's going to do a good job at the end, and I'm going to keep this thing up at the front. Guys are going to do a good job with the pit stops. Some good luck. You'll see us here at the end. We're excited.
Eric chilling right now. He's just relaxing. He's about to get in the car, and we're about to get started with Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge from the Glen.
That we are, Brian. Now let's talk about the street tuner class. Here's a look at the points as they stand. Very close, and again, changing all the time at the top, Calvin.
And you see there now, we've got 5 drivers within 5 points of one another, and expect a further change here today.
Now there's a great story on pole in this class. Mark Miller, we want to take you back to March at Sebring International Raceway, race 2 of the season. Miller had this amazing wreck.
Well, you see there, Michael Valiante was actually in the picture there. There was not contact, we initially thought. There was just a suspension breakage on that Mazda, hard into the wall.
Cracked rib and a broken ankle put Mark Miller in the hospital briefly, but he came back and put another Mazda MX-5 on pole for today's race. A few moments ago, our Darren Law spoke with him.
I'm here with Mark Miller. Mark, you guys, we just saw the tape from Sebring. Obviously, the accident was big. Racing has a lot of highs and lows, and this weekend you had a great qualifying run. Tell us about the car.
Darren, you guys keep bringing that wreck up, and I really want to forget it. But no, we came here with a great car right off the trailer, and Tyler and I just kind of worked on, through practice, just worked on little bits on balance. And when we put the new Continental tires on and went out for qualifying, the car was just so well balanced and kind of easy to get through these high-speed corners here at Watkins Glen. So we're really excited about the race today.
All right, guys. So the Mazda MX-5 is really quick. This is the front of the grid. Let's go to the back of the grid now and talk about Terry Borcheller and Mark Lamara. They're the 2013 Series champions, and they've had a really rough start to the race. They were waiting for the motor to be delivered this week, and it actually broke a strap in the delivery truck, fell over, and got damaged. Had to go back to Dynan, and then it was shipped back and actually showed up yesterday morning in this funny little delivery truck where they had to put it in. So they're starting at the back of the field with a brand new motor, but you can't count them out.
Absolutely not. Thanks, Darren. Now let's talk about this great and historic racetrack with our Mazda track map. Dorsey?
Well, Watkins Glen is in the Finger Lakes region of New York. You can see we are running on what we call the long course here. 11 turns, 3.4 miles in length. It's wide open, a lot of passing room, and it's very high speed. You don't want to get off the racetrack here.
It's been absolutely beautiful all weekend. Fairly warm day. These drivers will be working hard. There's a look at Andrew Davis. He'll be sharing that Stevenson Camaro with Robin Liddell, starting second in class. Here's the number 32 Boss 302 Mustang. Kurt Resitano sharing with Andrew Aquilante. They'll start fifth in GS. And the sixth place car in the street tuner class, the Mazda MX-5. Randy Pope's now driving. Andrew Carbonell will be getting in later on.
Well, these Camaros have showed up really strong here, Dorsey. 3 cars in the top 4. Trent Henman, our championship leader, on the second row, so he's going to be looking for trying to make a move here in the opening lap, I think.
And watch for this flare in turn 1. When they go green, it's going to get busy.
Whoa,
someone's turn to the
right
back.
at the start.
That's going to take 2 cars into the wall at least. And he's back on the track again.
At least 4 by my count as
Wow.
the field limps by.
Now look at this.
that.
How you like to dice your way through that mess. You got crashes to the left.
Now remember, the
crashes to
ST
right.
class is coming as a group from behind.
Yeah, they're going to see a yellow, though, so hopefully everyone's aware of that. We see the waving yellow.
Watch
Yep.
the car in the middle of the frame.
Oh,
there.
there's
No.
problems down here.
Now we got 3 in the wall down in turn 1. All ST cars.
Just mass confusion here.
This is the 26.
There's a slight difference in the starting procedures now. You are allowed to flare out a little bit before you get to the stripe and initiate a pass. That's been a change here in the last couple of rounds of the championship. I'm not sure if that was what caused the problem here. Obviously, someone got turned here.
Right in the middle of the pack, you're going to see a Porsche get turned right there.
Yep.
It's the bumping starts.
And he turns that Nissan around.
Yep.
Now, one of the problems is the Porsche driver here never locks his brakes up. He just keeps rolling. Now he's crashed over here. I think he's got stuck throttle, actually.
It's another Nissan, I think.
Yeah, it is another Nissan. You saw the 158 of Ian James in the wall. Come on board the 20.
Yeah, that car on the left side there just shouldn't be trying to make a move there, or essentially still under yellow.
Well, what happened back there, guys, when the Porsche got turned and he made contact, the throttle got stuck wide open. He couldn't stop the car, and he went across the racetrack, hit on the other side, and bounced off that wall and just kept going. And it caused a lot of carnage.
James is out of the Mustang. At least 5 cars involved.
He looks
But I'm
like
not
he's
sure
all
that's
right,
all.
just a little aggravated, I'm sure.
Wow, Rebel Rock. They're coming off a strong run at Kansas where they had a couple of cars in the top 5.
That's Al Carter from Delaware.
Really good driver, Al.
Finished on the podium here last year.
He was a victim in there. Looks like everybody's getting out safely, and that's good. Because those hits are hard on that straightaway, a lot harder than you think.
Yeah, this 95 car, I just think he was being a bit too aggressive. There's a lot going on here. You just need to slow things down. The second incident here.
Now watch, we're going to show this replay. Watch this Porsche as it hits the wall here. This car is got a stuck throttle. He comes back on the straightaway. It's not even a Porsche, I think it's a Nissan. Then he hits over there. Now he's coming across the center again with a stuck throttle. I mean, that's the worst scenario you could have.
That's Carter's car turned sideways with the front deck lid up.
Now the ST guys are coming through a wreck. They're having to dice their way through, and this happens down in turn 1.
Yeah, this 95 car, I think, just carried a bit too much speed, and everyone kind of got blocked together there on the outside of the turn.
So 2 separate incidents mar the start of this race. Set for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Gardner talks it over with the Rebel Rock Racing crew. And we'll take this opportunity for a break to sort things out and be back with you in a moment from Watkins Glen International and the Continental Tire 150. Welcome back, working our 7th lap under a full course caution after a massive multi-car crash at the start of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge, round 6 of 12 in the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge for 2014. Let's take a look at what happened at the start to bring out this lengthy full-course caution.
Well, this is a classic stack-up. If you look at the middle of the field, you'll see contact made, and then it's just bedlam. Everybody's trying to make their way through. Unfortunately for John Ferrano in this Nissan 370Z, his throttle's stuck. He comes flying across, slams the wall over here, and that is one wreck. But down in turn one, well, they decided to start a second version of the wreck. But here, this is going to show you better. And what I want you to look at is Ian James in this dark blue Mustang right there. The stack-up happens. You'll see his brake light come on. As he tries to avoid, there it is. And then now concentrate on this car. It comes off the wall with a stuck throttle right here, shoots across the racetrack in front of everybody, causing more mayhem. And, of course, it was just on from there.
You see the ST field arriving en masse, 4 and 5 across the racetrack. Brake lights flash.
And down in turn one, further than what you can see, there's another wreck happening right now, separate from this one.
We'll get to that one in just a moment. Right now, a moment ago, Darren Law spoke with Ian James.
Ian James, obviously this is not how you want to start this race. I mean, there was a big pileup at the green flag. What happened?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a concertina effect, and the Nissan in front of me checked up. I checked up in reaction to that, and then the next thing I know, I'm heading towards the wall. So I'm not quite sure. It happened really fast. But the end of the story is, you know, the 158 Miller Multimatic car is badly damaged. We're going to try and fix it and get back out there, but yeah, very disappointing way to start.
That's too bad. This will be just gaining points for him now, guys.
Well, David Impringham certainly knows about winning races. He's won plenty of them in his career. But, David, I mean, the green flag came out, and you're already standing back in the garage area. What did you see from sitting on the box? What happened to your teammate, John Ferrano?
Well, just really disappointing. Too much aggression at the start of the race. As we know, nothing really matters in this race to the last hour. You just need to stay alive, and these guys can't even get to the green flag. It's very, very disappointing. We had a really good car. I really think we had a good shot at winning this race, and feel really bad for John. I think he was a victim here. What can I say? I feel bad for the whole team.
As he said, too much aggression too soon. And Dorsey, you hear it in drivers' meetings all the time. You can't win the race in the first turn, but you can certainly lose it. And that's what happened today.
Yeah, that's the worst way to try to start a race, to get knocked out and not even get to turn one, and no excuse for it.
Now let's talk about that secondary accident that took place down the hill in turn one, involving the Mazda MX-5 of Randy Popes and Todd Burras in a Hyundai Genesis.
Yeah, just mass confusion again. The 95, the 10, the 26 all come together, and I just don't think that the 95 car slowed down enough. We're under caution, but I think the cars in front of him slowed a lot more than he was expecting, and that created the problem.
Yeah, we'll try it single file this time, guys.
26 is back in the garage. Randy Popes told our Brian Till they hope to get back on track. We'll find out later. Safety cars off, green flag waves. We're back 4 wide at Watkins Glen.
Doesn't look like they learned, Calvin.
Well, green means go in terms of restarts. You're literally allowed to do anything. Once that green flag is displayed, you see the Camaros going side by side. Looks like Andrew Davis has got to the inside of Eric Curran. He's up over the curb. That is okay, as long as you don't gain an advantage. And then we see the 15 car. He's had a good restart here as well, Jay Buford.
Way on the outside of that was the Rum Bum Porsche, which got a hip check right at turn one, but I don't think it did any damage. Here the car is now.
Uphill through the famous S's and on to the long high-speed back straight.
Yeah, maybe it can get it sorted out now. I mean, that was all kind of crazy at the beginning.
5 different brands in the top 6 positions. Camaro Z28R, BMW M3, Mustang Boss 302R, Nissan 370Z, and Porsche 997.
Little bobble there by Matt Bell trying to get into the bus stop chicane there. He loses a little bit of ground on his teammate. See Curran's all over him there. And some of this may just be tire pressures and stuff coming up, getting into their sweet spot, Dorsey, in terms of how these cars perform on these opening laps.
Yeah, and Curran really wanted to stay in the lead. He didn't want to give up 2 positions, that's for sure. So I expect him to be aggressive. He wants to be in front.
Down into the section of track known as the boot. Here's the toe.
Oh, look at this aggressive move there by Resentano, looking to the inside of our championship leader in the red, white, and blue there. Full line BMW currently runs in the 5th spot.
They don't need any more bad luck either. They need a good finish today.
They need to get back into their groove. I mean, they've had a really quick car all year long. They could have had 2 victories on the year, as we explained. Got it a bit wrong at Lime Rock. Then they had an injector clog on them at Kansas. Just cost them a lot of speed and just struggled to a 16th place finish. They need to get back in the big points today.
This is the essence of Watkins Glen. 3.4 miles around, 11 turns, and it rises and falls everywhere. Rarely is it straight and level.
Believe it or not, there's a lot of racing room on this racetrack. Plenty of places to overtake here. You don't have to be so crazy at the start. A 6 hour, not a 6 hour race, but in a race of this magnitude, you just don't want to throw it all away at the beginning.
These Camaros have shown really impressive pace all weekend long in their practice sessions, and boy, qualifying, they really came to the front, and right now they're looking awfully strong as we see the rest of the pack file through turn 1.
One thing about it with these long straightaways and these big cars is one of the Mustangs gets squirrely there in braking. Drafting does work here, so those 3 Camaro guys are working a 3-car draft. It's to their advantage to keep it nice and tidy.
That beautiful white Mustang, Rich Golinello. You saw the car squirming under braking. I thought he was going to get into the back of that Porsche in front of him.
Yeah, once the guy starts to close the door, you just lean on that brake pedal a little bit harder. You've already got the car turned in, you got weight on the nose, and that'll do that to you.
And of course, right before you get to turn 1, it goes downhill, which throws even more weight to the nose, and it wants to hike the back end up. A great battle here.
Change of position there. Buford is around Hinman.
Made that clean pass.
Well, BMW looks really strong through the carousel now, really hugging the road nicely.
Meanwhile, Andrew Davis leads. His co-driver is Robin Liddell, and he is with Brian Till.
Robin looking on as Andrew's out in front. Robin, we talked a little bit earlier, and you said you've got kind of a newfound confidence this weekend. What is so special about the Camaro here at Watkins Glen?
Well, we've always gone very well here with the team. Obviously, we won the 6 hours the last 2 years, and we were fortunate enough to test here a couple of days, just a month or so ago. So we had a good package coming into the weekend. Obviously, we were strong early in the season, had some reliability issues, got a bit of a penalty. We've been fighting that for a few races, but getting here, it's a handling track. The Camaro's a big car. It's got, torque, get us up the hill well and so on. And we've got a really good package here. Right now, it's going really well. Andrew got the jump on Eric off the restart, and obviously, a long way to go with the race. It's really only just started up following that start line accident, but we're pretty positive for the outcome of the race right now.
You guys in the booth were talking about getting tires up to temperature and pressure just a few minutes ago. How long does it take one of these Camaros to get the Contis working well?
Really, the tires are very good in that respect. They come in almost straight away. So, even when they're stone cold, the first time lap that we had in qualifying was the best lap that we did. I don't really think they're that much of an issue. Usually just a few corners, the rear tires are up. The front tires usually take more like half to 3/4 of a lap, but by the end of the first lap, if you've lent on them hard out of the pitch, you can usually be pretty much full tilt. They're still coming to pressure, but you've got some grip.
So right now, it looks like you want a Camaro on Continental tires if you're going to lead in Grand Sport.
These guys are running a 3-car draft like I talked about, and they're pulling away from that BMW who's just out of the draft now.
Yeah, Hinman's got back around Jade Buford. There's a good little battle going on there. Hinman hadn't seen it. Oh, and he's really deep there through the bus stop. Hang on. He hadn't seen this racetrack until Wednesday of this week, so he's learning this place, but learning it quick.
That was good car control back there. He was in that one deep.
Hinman has been the revelation, I think, of the series thus far, taking a succession of poles, not intimidated by anything. He's a very young driver with a lot of talent. We've got another break coming up. Despite that long caution, we've got almost 2 full hours of racing to go, so stand by. We'll be back with more of the Continental Tire 150 from the Glen. Welcome back to a beautiful day in the Finger Lakes region of New York State at Watkins Glen International. This is the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen, the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge Series. There you see the leader in the Street Tuner or ST class. Earlier we talked about young Trent Hinman in the GS class, the 18-year-old New Jersey high school senior. Well, this is 22-year-old Cody Ellsworth, who attends college at Central Florida, along with another couple of racers under IMSA's sanction. The Taylor brothers, Jordan and Ricky, we'll see in the Salem 6 hours, or have seen here at the Salem 6 hours at the Glen.
He must have been picking up some tips from the Taylor boys, because he is absolutely flying here today. Created a nice little gap on Kyle Gimple, so really impressive stuff from Cody right now.
Chad Gilsinger third, Adam Isman fourth. Mark Miller, our pole sitter in the Mazda MX-5, now down to 5th in class. Let's get more on Ellsworth now with Darren Law.
Well, guys, you want to talk about a small world. Cody Ellsworth is actually doing a great job. Like you said, he qualified outside pole. He's leading this race comfortably. Turns out I was talking with his teammates before the start of the race. They told me that he swept the floors at the Brumos Porsche dealership when I was driving for him, which I drove for him for several years, but obviously I didn't know him and didn't realize that. Does that mean I'm getting old when that situation comes up?
He's cleaning up after you.
You're forgetting the little people as you grow in stature here in television, Darren. I mean, you got to remember these guys who brought you coffee and did all that kind of stuff.
See a car off back here on the short course, one of the Mazdas. Might have been a Freedom MX-5 sitting back there. That means he's in mechanical difficulty.
Yeah,
looks like he's parked there.
And if you have a problem, Dorsey, you're trying to make it back to the pit lane as quickly as you can. You lose that lap as we see guys running really wide. Pombo there coming through turn 10. It's a great part of the racetrack. That's really a really fast corner. It's almost wide open in these cars coming through there.
That was Mark Pombo taking a really wide line in the next to last corner. To Brian Till in the pit.
Ryan Eversley down here watching his teammate Kyle Gimple running second in ST. And for a driver pairing who was second last year in the championship, I know there are a few races this year that you would like to forget about, Ryan. What do you guys need to do to change that luck and get this Honda up to the front and keep it there?
You know, the Honda's been good at a couple of tracks for a very short period of time during the event. As the race goes to the long green run, we lose the front tires quite a bit, and Continental Tire's been doing a great job for us all year. So now we need a little bit of help from the series to let it balance out a bit. But that being said, our Compass 360 team's doing an awesome job of keeping us at the front. I think you see some of the cream rising to the top as we get closer towards the end of the year, and that's kind of what you're seeing with us right now. Kyle's doing a great job out there and representing the Children's Consumer Foundation the way he should be.
Is Watkins Glen a better racetrack for that front-wheel drive car because the corners are a little bit further apart?
Yeah, if you look at the history of this track, we've been like the top 2 finishers in like 9 of the last 10 events. So to not get the pole's a little frustrating, but yeah, this is a really good track for us. So is Lime Rock. A lot of the faster tracks where we don't have to brake as much help us. So, you know, we expect to run well here.
And they have been running well. They ran well in qualifying, and right now Kyle Gimple having a good run in second.
Yeah, they finished second here last year. Eversley also finished second, not with the same teammate back in 2010, so they know it well. As he said, he wants to get to the top spot on the podium. And I think a good point there, he said, when you're not braking as much, it's one thing you think cornering load is going to wear those tires down, Dorsey, but also when you're generating heat, when you're under the brakes as well as turning, is when it really overloads that tire potentially.
You know, 80% of what those cars do happens off the front end of the race car. Yeah. And so it's really working those 2 tires unfairly hard. And I drove front-wheel drive at this track for quite a long time, and it's tough to keep that front tire underneath you.
Putting the power to the ground, steering and braking, all with the front wheels. Well, not all, but mostly.
These Caymans are really, everyone felt that this is going to be a great car for the ACT class, and it's really starting to show its stuff. The Salins car finished second at Kansas City Speedway, and we see 2 of the Caymans now up into the top 3 as Adam Isman is doing a great job in the 04 car as well, as we're looking at it right now, heading down into turn 1.
Certainly looks to be a good handling package, and that's what you need at Watkins Glen. You know, these corners here are long, fast sweeping corners. There's no slow area, so you really need a car that stays under you well.
Beautiful part of the racetrack, swinging up through the S's. Really key is to get a good exit speed out of turn 1. It's a lot faster than most drivers think. It's kind of bank there, you just kind of get the car down into the groove there and just try and really carry a lot of apex speed and not slide the car coming off.
I think if my memory recollecting is correct, I think 60 mile per hour is the slowest corner on the racetrack, and that is not turn 1. Turn 1's about a 90 mile an hour corner, so it's plenty fast.
There's a look at the beautiful livery on the 56 BMW 328i, Jeff Mosing and Eric Foss, who took pole and the victory in the season opener at Daytona International Speedway.
And Eric was really quick in one of the practice sessions this weekend, so this car has a lot of potential.
Through turn 1. Seeing a bit of sliding from some of these cars. That'll add to the energy being put through the tires.
To settle down here, though, Hinman's really got a nice charge going on. He's running laps in the high 201 range. He's got around Matt Bell now for the 3rd spot, so he's chasing down those lead Camaros. And you talked about it earlier, Bob. Really an impressive season for young Trent Hedman. Really shown that he has the speed. He's learning new tracks quickly. They're also alternating, he and John Edwards, in terms of finishing drivers. So he's learning his craft and he's doing it the right way.
Good look at the toe of the boot here, the brake zone for it. Steep uphill.
I was talking during the
squeal there.
Yeah, I was talking with Calvin about the on the break as to whether or not this is the accepted line. Very late apex.
Yeah, I found when I first visited the long course at Watkins Glen, I don't have a lot of time here. We typically ran the short course when I was running Atlantics here, but I really found, Dorsey, you had to really hit a late apex on these these couple of corners that we just went through, the toe of the boot and the heel of the boot. Otherwise you just run out of road on the exit. So you have to be very patient here with your turning point. Look here again. Very, very late onto the curbing there that just sets you up nicely for your exit.
That toe of the boot's such a fun corner because you're going to encounter an uphill grade. You actually turn into the corner with more speed than you can make the corner. Hey, we got a caution up here. Look at here, full course caution. That's that light you're seeing. Something's going on.
This will be our second of the day. There were 3 a year ago. We understand it's for a stranded car.
Okay, it's this car, yeah.
Tom Long in the 27 has been sitting there for some time. I guess he couldn't get whatever his difficulty was sorted.
Anyway, you can use the hills here and the topography to your advantage. You can use the fact that you're going to go up this hill, it's going to gain grip, and you're going to slow down so you can turn in with more speed. It's a fun racetrack to drive.
Take this opportunity for another break and return in a moment with more Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge action from Watkins Glen. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Back at Watkins Glen International, school's out here in Upper New York State. What better way to spend the weekend than on a beautiful day at a world-famous racetrack with great action going on the track as well. Pits are open. We're still under caution. Here's Brian Till.
Well, school may be out, but the cars are in pit lane. Trent Hinman getting out of the 46. John Edwards climbing in. Remember, they've been split in the points after John Edwards shy of drive time at the final round, but that opens up their strategy a little bit. Right now, everybody good for drive time. Edwards in the 46. Let's head down to Darren.
They're at the 01 car here. These guys are changing all 4 Continental tires. I checked with everything on the car. They said everything feels really good. Car is comfortable. Lawson Ossenbach is getting in, and they're going through a routine stop, so no major changes, and they're very comfortable with the car right now.
Kind of surprised that with the little amount of green flag running that we've done, that some guys aren't taking a bit of a flyer and just taking 2 tires to minimize their time on pit lane. You could certainly leapfrog a bunch of cars there, so maybe that's what's happened here. Here we see the 4-line car. They're already on their way, and drama here for the Yodel car, the 01 machine. Not a good stop.
I agree, Calvin. Right side tires here works really well because you really use the left a lot more. Most of these corners on this racetrack, the high load corners, are right-handers. So the lefts take the punishment. You could have got away with 2 here, I think.
Car is still stationary.
You got trouble here. They got one tire back off, I see.
It's the 00. It's the sister machine.
Trouble on the right front. I just saw him had to take the wheel back off. I wonder if it...
It doesn't look like the car is fully jacked up. You know, he couldn't just slam the wheel on. He had to kind of fit it in there because he didn't have enough room at the bottom.
Definitely not what they were looking for a pit stop.
The jack might have broken. Those are GS cars. ST will pit on their own lap.
And it just really puts a big pressure situation for these crews because a little bobble when everyone's in together can really lose you a lot of track position. You do it under green, you lose 2 or 3 seconds. Not a big deal. You do it under yellow, suddenly it can cost you 8-10 possessions when you leave pit lane.
There's a look at the 28 Nissan. Oh, more on the 00 Camaro. Darren?
00 Camaro had a reasonable stop. The 01, the leading car, the running up front, had a problem. They could not get the jack underneath the side of the car and took a long time to get it sorted and get it jacked up. So I'm sure they lost several stops or several positions on that pit stop.
So little things that drive you crazy as a driver. You run your whole stint, you battle like crazy, and then you come in and a jack problem puts you way back.
Well, Eric Curran talked about it in his pre-race interview. He just said, we need some good luck. Sometimes you've got to make your own.
Let's look at the 28. Has not stopped, and thus cycles from nearly the back of the field up to the front.
It hasn't been the smoothest weekend for this team. They had some drama in Thursday practice session here. Didn't get a lot of running. And yesterday in qualifying, I believe one of the wheels wasn't fully tightened, which caused some hairy moment for Tim Bell. So they qualified right at the back of the pack. The car's shown speed on occasion. Nearly got a podium run at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Just lost that in the final sprint to the finish there. Dane Cameron was overtaken, I believe, by one of the Aston Martins that day for the final podium spot. So they've been knocking on the door. Certainly Kevin Doran and his team have had shown some speed as well with this Nissan.
Kevin has a long history at this track.
Yeah.
Including at the highest levels of American sports car racing with the late Al Holbert and his Porsche crew.
His cars have always been good here. There's certain tracks that Kevin's team just have nailed down. This is one.
See if anyone here does a 2-tire change. And typically in ST, they'll just do the drive wheels. Either the front wheel drives will just change fronts, or rear wheel drives the rear if you're trying to minimize that pit time.
Brian.
5-0 from Berg Racing is in. Cody Ellsworth climbing out. John Weisberg will climb in. This car running so well all weekend long. They had a season best 5th place finish back at Daytona, but they haven't been inside the top 15 since then. They're looking to change their luck today. Darren?
04 coming down pit lane, coming in the 3rd position overall for ST class. They're still waiting for him to come in, talking to the crew. They say this is totally routine. They're just doing tires, doing fuel, but they're also doing a driver change. Right now it looks like they're only pulling right sides out.
This car almost too far from the wall. You see the fueler there.
Yeah.
Really stretching that hose to make it fit.
Corey Friedman's had a lot of success here at the Glen in the Rolex Series. Actually won the 6 hour of the Glen in the GT class back in 2005, so it's been a happy hunting ground for him. There you can see how hectic it is on pit lane. Boy. It gets crazy. This is where those hours at the shop where you practice and rehearse these tire changes, these driver changes can really pay big dividends under yellow. Again, everyone's coming in together, so if you have a bobble, you're going to get shuffled towards the back of the pack.
And this Watkins Glen pit lane is unique because the pit lane wall is extremely high here, and these guys have to be pretty athletic to vault over that thing. It's above knee height for sure.
On board with Randy Popes, the 26, victimized in that start line accident. Spent some time in the garage, but they're back out now. Lights are out on the safety car. We expect to start on the next time past start finish. Back at Watkins Glen, lights are off on the safety car. New leader Tim Bell in a Nissan will lead them to the green flag. Bell did not stop, so he'll be off sequence with the rest of the field.
Green, 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 green.
And that's the signal for 5 wide.
Look at that. Look
Maybe
to the left
6.
side of your screen.
Oh,
There's
dear.
Stevenson Camaros. There's John Edwards there.
This is
Number
all
9.
fine till right here where it turns in. Everybody's got to be aware.
Andy
and leave
Lally
room.
rode the pit wall in that Camaro.
Look at Edwards there. He's being forced wide there.
Yep. And you want to get it
By
sorted
the
out
Aston Martin.
before you get up through these S's. You cannot go through these S's side by side without losing speed.
Here come the ST pack.
You build speed really quickly at this joint, I tell you.
On the Civic, that 75 car way outside. That's Ryan Eversley.
And here again, the brake zone. Watch this. Everybody positioning.
Aston was in there deep. Steve Phillips, I think, there is just trying to hang on. He's through.
He jumped.
No.
Oh, he touched him.
Was there contact?
Oh, there was, I believe.
Yeah, he got into him just.
Nearly up and over. Yeah, I think he got wide. Liddell said no problem to slide it down the inside. Then the Aston started to come back online, and there wasn't enough room.
It's another young star in the Continental Tire Series, Max Riddle.
Oh, wow.
From British Columbia in Canada.
And the car isn't hurt right there. Oh, he got it
He
off the
drove
wall.
it off the wall.
That's awesome.
Well, you know, he did start
Hey,
out.
good job, buddy. How's it feel?
He started out in rallying, so that's no big deal.
That was awesome.
Just drive it out of the trees. I think that was his car owner, Kevin Buckler, on the radio.
Saved a lot of time. He was on the same lap still.
Yeah, I think he was almost going a lap down. I think that was where I got a bit confused about who was actually at the front of this pack. Watch this.
Boy, they just barely kissed. It doesn't take much till you're unloaded.
07 goes up.
Oh, he teeters it.
It's like the Joey Chitwood Hill Drivers Thrill Show.
That's as close to over as you're going to get right there. Doesn't get any more than that. But this is what's neat. He drives this. There's the bump. You see it right there. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't much. You know, it doesn't take much there.
I think what we're looking at here, Kevin Buckler and the TRG group were playing some straight on. That's why. I think there may be some damage, though, to that right rear. Looked a bit weird when it came back down.
We'll have to see how.
Here,
this is a different ride. This is in the
front and rear damage.
Oh, and the 50's
There's the 50.
involved.
Oh, Ellsworth's car.
Car that was leading here in the first hour of this race.
Do you think the latch just broke? No, he's got front end
Just
damage.
went full course yellow.
He's got it back down. He's got to take his way back to the pits. He's not far from there.
He's going to do a
We
little.
just need to tape the hood down.
He got lucky on that one.
Just try to regroup here on who was actually, I think the 07 car was almost a lap down. They played some strategy.
I think
Here's
you're
another
right.
look at the...
Oh, that's a big hit. The
That's
87 and the
involved.
33. 33 was a victim here.
The Rebel Rock car.
Yeah, Steve Tarpley.
Yeah, 33 was just a victim. Wrong place, right time.
Let's go
In the
Kozarov
meantime-
in the 33.
What we thought was the 50 car was there it is right now on pit lane getting that hood fixed, but I think he must have made contact with somebody.
Brian, you're looking at it.
Yeah, there's big damage just underneath where the hood attaches. So basically the front splitter or the front bumper, but that's not the problem. Look at the windscreen. The windscreen is completely shattered when that hood came up, and that is the problem. And I don't know that the officials will let them back out because of that broken glass. Remember, in qualifying, one of the Mazdas could not qualify because of a very small crack in the windshield, and this is certainly more than that.
Yeah, and what the danger is with that, even though if it doesn't blow in, the pieces of shards of glass that are in there will be flying around and get up in the
Look at this, the driver's kicking it out.
Quick, give me another one.
That's the way to take it out.
John Weisberg said enough of this.
Little driver assistance.
He is frustrated.
Wow. That's not an easy thing to put in.
Car was looking really strong today.
You saw the official speaking to one of the crewmen, and you could almost hear what he was saying. No, you can't go anywhere with that windshield.
In a bizarre couple of minutes here, we saw an Aston Martin drive off of the tire barrier and someone just kick out his own windshield.
Actually, in Trans Am, I drove with no windshield, or I tried to, because I had the face on, but that didn't last long. that was like, no, you can't do that.
But it does solve the window fogging issue.
Yes, it does. It certainly does.
Let's have another look at. Don't try this at home, kids.
I love this, though. Driver assistance.
The mechanic was giving him some direction there. He said, we can't pull it from the outside. You're going to have
Get that
to
out of here.
Yeah.
Kick it out.
Of course, putting another one in is not quite so easy, and now that glass is still inside that car.
Had to undo his belts, take the steering wheel off. Well, necessity is the mother of gymnastics. It's like the car's going to go behind the wall to replace that windscreen. We'll be back in a moment to the Glen. Welcome back to Watkins Glen. Here's a bit of a recap of what has been an amazing race thus far, beginning with this crash at the green flag.
Kind of set the tone for the race, unfortunately.
It really did. It got uglier from here. There was a further issue down into turn one. Then we see the 07 try to stay on that lead lap. Our leader, Robin Liddell, at this time tries to squeeze down the inside.
That's the move of the race as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. Gets it up on the tire wall and just drove it off. Then most recently, this collision between several of the ST cars.
Cars are off there involved, and then the hood comes up on the 50 machine that had been having such a strong run. Just major disappointment. Here we see Weisberg just kick out the screen, but they would take no further part in the race today.
His co-driver, young Cody Ellsworth, got the car up to the race lead. Then a bit of very unusual and bad racing luck.
Now, this racetrack has got to be dirty, guys. I mean, there's got to be a lot of debris out there with all the carnage we've seen today.
2 full course cautions with lots of debris, as you mentioned, Dorsey, and now the lights are out on the safety car. We'll give it another shot.
Liddell and Lally lead the Stevenson Camaros back to the green. Remember their battle at Sebring. They were literally beating on each other there when Liddell got that victory.
Yeah, but look who's in third now, guys. Old Rum Bum. Like I said at the beginning of the show.
Something happened to Edwards here during this safety period. They made a pit stop. He'd plummeted down the order a little bit, went back towards the front of the pack, got swamped on the initial restart, and we'll have to find out what's going on there.
Look at this ST war going on.
Valiente leads. They're coming off a huge win at Kansas in the last round of this championship. He and Chad Gilsinger.
Man, it's like being chased by a pack of
Yeah,
wasps.
there's a handful of MX-5s in there.
Everywhere you look. Back to the GS. Liddell, Lally, Matt Plum in the Porsche. Steve Phillips, Michael Marsal in the BMW, and Scott Maxwell.
I think it would behoove Matt Plum to get in the draft of these 2 Camaros. I don't think he's strong by himself.
Guys, I just checked in with Fall Line on the 46, and they said what happened was they had gotten hit by the 9 after that last stop, so they came in to check for damage, make sure there were no tires cut down. Everything was fine. They sent John Edwards back out. Did not change tires, nothing else to the car, just checking for damage, and Edwards back on track.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they topped him off on fuel. I think that could be his only savior. Maybe he can squeak it with a bit more yellow here today. They normally run about 55 minutes to an hour on a full fuel load, so we talk about that Fall Line team. They had the championship by the scruff of their neck, and they're certainly getting away from them.
It's smart to look at those tires, though. It's 3.5 mile track, and you can see with all the debris and so forth out there, it's just a long shot to make sure you didn't have to go all the way around.
Dodge Viper SRT halfway leader honors to Robin Liddell in that Stevenson Camaro Z28R.
Ironic that Edwards got clipped by one of the Stevens Camaros, the team that he's driven for many years with a lot of success.
Matt Plum's doing exactly what I think, what I talked about before. He's got up to the back of the Camaros. I think he can run there in the draft, but if he gets separated from them, I don't think he's got the power by himself to run any other place.
On board the number 32, Boss 302 Mustang, Atro Aquilant.
This little battle here. Pombo slipping back a little bit. He's up right behind Valiente there, and now he's slipped back to 4th.
Let's get more on Edwards' situation and the 46 now. Trent Hidman and Brian Till.
Trent Hinman climbed out of the 46 on that last full course caution. Trent, one of the things that seems to be the strength of the BMW around here is its longevity. As the stint went on, did the tires just get better and better and the Camaros start coming back?
That's what it seemed like to me. You know, we had a great car. We never really got a chance to take a long run during the practices, so I was a little bit nervous to see what was going to happen during a long stint in the race. But, you know, at the end of the day, all these Fall Line guys really gave me a great car to be able to go out there and run strong with the Camaros at the end of a long run. You know, it's a little bit unfortunate that John got tagged by one of the Camaros, but I think we'll be able to bounce back fine. We have plenty of time in the race. Nothing seems to be broken or really bent. Toe might be knocked out a little bit, but John can deal with that. But you know, again, big thanks to all these Fall Line guys for all the hard work. Our BMW's been really fast all weekend, and I'm happy that we've been able to keep up with those Camaros. But you know, big thanks to our partners, Trimtex, Sirocco Nozimo, Atlas Acon, and DFL Interiors for all their support. And also a real quick shout out to JRZ and Brian Heiss for all his hard work with helping us out. You know, those guys really helped us make this car into a monster this year, and I think that's a big reason of why we're running so well right now.
And they certainly have been running well, and what John Edwards wants is a lot of green flag running to the end, Darren.
Yeah, Brian, you had mentioned the strength of the BMW, the longevity, being able to go for a stint, and the Camaros possibly coming back to them, and that's I think really the real case. I spoke with Eric Curran, and they were contemplating trying to do left side tires, but he said no way. The Camaro's so heavy that they have a tendency to burn up the rears, and they really tend to slow up as the stint goes on. So we have to watch this. If we stay green, you know, you'll probably see the Camaro start to fall back a bit.
Well, Rob Liddell talked about the penalty that they received. It wasn't a penalty in points or anything. He was talking about the BOP, the balance of performance weight that the Camaro's got going into the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca round. So that's what we're talking about. The weight of these cars, it just really puts a lot of strain on these Continental tires, Dorsey, particularly over the long run.
Yeah, they do. You know, the weight, it doesn't seem like much, 50 pounds, but when you're leaning on, it affects everything. It affects your braking, it affects your ability to turn and accelerate as well.
Now, you heard Trent Hinman say that John Edwards got hit by one of the Camaros. I believe it was the 9 car of Andy Lally, and the reports from the pit lane are that Lally's complaining something's not right with the 9. What does it feel like to a driver, Dorsey, if the toe is out at the back?
You know, at the back it's horrible because it usually wants to lead either on the right-hand corner, it's really, really loose, and it won't turn on the left-hand corner, or vice versa. The back's much worse than the front, and it's harder to fix if you try to make an adjustment.
If it's towed out and you're suddenly loaded on that side of the, that's going to give you a real problem because it's trying to send you into the fence.
It's like driving a hook and ladder fire truck with nobody at the back. A little bit of cloud cover now creeping over Watkins Glen International. Nice and sunny in the pits. We'll be back with more of the Continental 150 from the Glen. Welcome back to a beautiful day at Watkins Glen in New York State and the Continental Tire 150. As a young fan with that all-important hearing protection, I'm not sure it's a great idea to bring a dog to the track, considering the sensitivity of their hearing. And there's a future
crewman being advised by his future crew chief exactly where to put the truck.
Beautiful.
On board with Robin Liddell in the race-leading Camaro Z28R.
A smooth run. We're understanding that the contact between Andy Lally, the 9 car, and John Edwards, who had to make a pit stop to check any potential damage. Lally's now reporting some kind of issue inside his car, so we'll have to wait and see if that one plays out.
Stringing out a little bit at the front. It's Liddell and Lally in their Camaros. Matt Plum in the Porsche. Andrew Aquilante has been moving up in his Mustang Boss 302. Then Lawson Aschenbach in the 01 pole-sitting Camaro. And Scott Maxwell in another Mustang.
Andy Lally was talking to his crew chief about extreme heat down on the floorboard coming out like never before. What will happen sometimes when you make contact with another car is you'll bend the under tray a little bit, and it'll open up a gap between the engine. Here's what I'm talking about.
There's an extreme amount of heat coming from the floorboard through the pedals like we haven't ever had before.
If you knock that header panel back inside the car, the exhaust system heat will come right up in there. It will absolutely fry your foot. Rick Calvin, you know, because you drove trains.
Yeah, no, it's going to be tough.
And it will burn your foot badly.
Andy Lally's going to be running the 6-hour here tomorrow, so he's got to be careful.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You can blister your foot. And,
Ludwig Village is the president of BMW North America, and Ludwig, it's great. Stop.
Sorry, we'll get to you in a moment, Brian.
Sounded like something important, though.
Yeah, I think it's an important interview. We'll have to make sure we get to it. Meanwhile, back to Andy Lally and his hot foot, or feet.
I remember doing that where it was so bad on your right foot that you tried to drive with your left. You know, you'd put your left on the gas pedal and hold it down for a while and switch back when you went to the brake zone to your right.
That's not an uncommon complaint among drivers of front-engine cars.
No, it's not. These cars generate monstrous heat right on the header system, which is right up against the firewall. You know, you're talking about 1,000-degree heat there, and if you open up a little gap, if any air gets through there, it's not pleasant.
Our Dodge leaderboard across the top of your screen. Blue numbers are the GS category cars.
The Camaros have shaken the rum-bum Porsche, who's now lonely third.
And a great battle there. Andrew Aquilani has really been flying. He's now up to the 4th spot. And the number 32 machine had a good battle going with Scott Maxwell. Now he's got Aschenbach right with him as well. They're looking for a podium run here today.
Good little battle right there, too. Michael Marsala in the BMW, then Dane Cameron in the Nissan, and Bob McCallion in a Mustang. Excuse me, BMW. Nope, Mustang. Sorry, we switched to another battle.
The Aston Martin's still going, even after that big vicious hit with the wall, almost turned it upside down. It's Kevin Buckler and his guys got it back out and going. It looks to be all right.
Lots of tricky corners around Watkins Glen. You mentioned the elevation changes. A little bit of off camber in a corner, and you've got your hands full.
You know, and typically in the afternoon, like we're running right now, this racetrack really greases up a lot. It becomes really a loose racetrack, and you'll see some of these cars now sliding from the apex out. And that's more of the racetrack than it is an issue of the car going away.
On board the 26 as Randy Bobes tries to work his way back through the field after that big race opening crash. He is currently 29th in the SD category. We'll be back. Welcome back to a beautiful day. What they call New York's Southern Tier, the Finger Lakes region, wine country, and home of one of the world's great racetracks, Watkins Glen International, site of the Continental Tire 150. Here on Fox Sports. I'm Bob Varsha with Dorsey Schrader, Calvin Fish, Darren Law, and Brian Tiller in the pit lane. We're following the Street Tuner class lead now. Michael Valiente, Owen Trinkler, Remo Rusiti, and Ryan Eversley, all in a line.
It's a great little battle. Hart going for 2 wins in a row. Went on a tear mid-season in 2012, getting 2 victories in class. Didn't hit victory lane last year, but car has always shown great speed.
Moments ago, this was Nick Galante heading down into the boot.
With a little too much great speed, I should say. Didn't get the car turned, and off he went. This is a corner that turns cars upside down a lot. As you saw right there, that impact, it tends to want to lift the front of the car and then turn it on its side, but he got away with one.
He was able to drive it away and limp around to the pit. You see him in the pit lane in the background. No yellow flag. We continue as our Continental leaderboard rolls across your screen with the ST class
Watch
lineup.
this. I was watching this before. Randy Post will come up here. He's in the draft. He's going to help his teammate here. Watch. Instead of passing him, he's going to square off of the back end of this car and bump draft him, trying to get them both going faster. Look at this. Boom.
It's a lot of fun.
It is fun. I mean, they're only hitting at about 1 mile per hour.
Yeah, but you'll see the tachometer suddenly gain a couple hundred revs, which you would not get by yourself.
And then you got to remember to brake a little earlier than normal because you got more speed than you can do on your own.
Like I said, you guys have a weird definition of fun.
Stevens Camaro's looking really strong, but the 9 car was involved with John Edwards a few laps ago where there was some contact, and Lally has been on the radio reporting to the crew.
There's an extreme amount of heat coming from the floorboard through the pedals like we haven't ever had before.
Now, what will happen sometimes when you make contact with another car is you can wrinkle the floor pan, or you can wrinkle the structure right in front of where your feet are and open up an air gap where that engine heat and header heat from the exhaust comes in. It starts melting your shoe, literally, and then it starts melting your foot.
And Lally's got to be careful. He's got a 6-hour race to run here tomorrow, so it's not inconceivable that Stevenson may decide to do a double driver change here and put Matt Bell back in if Andy's really feeling the heat, so to speak. I've heard of hot wheel Camaros, but not hot feet Camaros.
It's pretty common in front-engine race cars. I mean, how many times at a NASCAR Sprint Cup race you see a guy get out with a sort of a foil boot on his shoe?
Like a space shoe. We had to roar them all the time.
Yep.
You know, because that floorboard, 600 degrees, 700 degrees, and your foot's down there on wide open throttle right up against that floorboard.
With the exhaust passing one side or the other.
And it just heats all the brake pedal assembly and everything. Every time you had to put your foot on the brake, it's like putting your foot in the hot coals of a fire. It's just unbelievable pain when it gets extreme.
If you say it that way, it sounds difficult.
It's not much fun, I can tell you that.
We were athletes at one time, Bob. Not any longer.
I'll take your word for it.
Hey guys, the 01 car, the CKS Autosport Camaro with Lawson Ossenbach is making a very different strategy call. They came in recently, topped the fuel up, and then only went with 2 tires. When I asked the team manager what the thought was there, they're hoping for a yellow they're not going to make it on fuel, but they did the 2 tires to try and make up some of the space they lost when they had the problem on the very first pit stop.
That's smart. He's going to get track position. If he catches his yellow like he wants, he'll top with fuel and he'll take the other side tires and be good to go.
Yeah, these GS cars are definitely going to need another stop here. 18 laps into this stint.
6 and the 9 are in. Brian's there.
In tandem, and I'm looking inside the cockpit over here on the 9, and they're working with an air hose right now that brings air into the car and directs it down to the footwell. So they're working on that over on the passenger side. Other than that, it's a routine stop, fuel, and 4 Continental tires going on. But that, man, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough air to cool that right foot of Andy Lally.
I'll tell you what, Lally would have had the lead there because there's a slight delay on the refueling for Rob Nadell, but Lally was kind of jammed in there, had nowhere to go. I think that the other team crew members may have been in his way of actually exiting that pit box and maybe grabbing track position. Not for the lead right now, of course, but it was for track position.
Feet are on fire. Bad.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do a driver change there just to ease the load on Andy Lally.
That radio transmission was just before the stop.
He's going to be really hurting tomorrow for a 6-hour race.
Yeah, and that's not good. I mean, what he's going through there, the burn gets deeper as you go. I mean, he's probably got 2nd-degree burn on his foot right now, and it's not going to get any better. It's just putting it back in the oven every time.
We also saw Matt Plum, I believe, flash through turn 1, basically gaining track position on these 2 Stevenson cars. He was running 3rd in the race, so Joe Vardy and the boys got a cleaner stop done or something. The in or the out lap was better for Matt Plum, so he's going to assume track position on the Chevy Camaros, but a long way to go yet, a lot to play out.
God, I can't tell me how many times I was in that same position, burned my feet all up, and I don't miss that driving that much. I mean, it's not as fun as it looks sometimes.
Down in the boot now. If you're used to watching the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars on their annual visit to Watkins Glen, they use the short course. They would not be on this part of the track. They'd have gone straight at the last corner
I wish they would, though. I really would like to see those guys run this long track.
You know, back in the day when we did that comparison of the Sprint Cup car and a Formula One car with Lewis Hamilton and Tony Stewart, Tony got out after having driven the entire track and said, we have got to race
I totally agree.
the
They
full
can do it
international
now.
circuit here. Pit stop for the 32.
Aquilani's been having a brilliant run. He's got the lead of this motor race right now. I don't think he's going to keep it after this pit stop, but he's certainly up in the top 5. And this car has shown really impressive straightaway speed. We saw him going head-to-head with another Mustang of Scott Maxwell, and he seemed to have a lot of speed. His father, Joe, certainly knows how to turn one of these race cars.
Well, they're going with 4 tires. I thought they might take 2, but they're definitely going with 4. They're going to run to the end now.
To Brian.
Mike Johnson on the box down here at Stevenson. And Mike, we saw him working on that air hose in the cockpit for Andy Lally. Are you going to know if it's fixed or not, or is it going to have to take getting back on track to find out?
Yeah, I don't know, because I was working on the 6 during the stop. Basically, there's a hose that blows up under the feet, like the whole foot box. So if they got it back on and the fans are working, it should provide them some help. But on the flip side of it, everything's really hot, and it's hard to cool down really hot metal down there. So, you know, he's driven a lot of stock cars and big hot cars, so he'll fight through it, and whatever happened, we'll make sure it's fixed for the next race.
The guys up top thought that maybe you guys would go ahead and do a driver change there since his foot was so hot already. Was that ever a thought?
Well, it was his call. You know, we had Matt ready to go. Obviously, Matt can do the job, but he wanted to stay and do it. So right now we're 3rd and 4th, and we got to get those 2 cars back. So it's our plan.
He's going to fight to the end.
Oh, that's tough. Hopefully that fan was disconnected, or the hose was. He'll get some relief, but once you're burned, you've done it yourself. It doesn't take much. Once you're burned and you're skin sensitive, it's really not fun.
Well, he's burned, and all the metal down there is hot as well. It's gotten hot. It's not going to cool down. It's not going to get back to its normal operating temperature.
You got a 1,000-degree header system or exhaust system sitting right there.
Wow. Well, there you see front-running cars all running close together. We got another break coming up. We'll be back with more from the Continental Tire 150. Pit action continues. Back at Watkins Glen, New York, in the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen. Round 6 of 12 in the 2014 Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge. Dorsey Schrader, Calvin Fish, Brian Till, and Darren Law. I'm Bob Varsha. You're watching the battle for the lead in GS and the overall. Robin Liddell chasing Lawson Aschenbach. That's for the lead because Shane Lewis took the Porsche that he's sharing with Andrew Baxter and Mike Bavaro to the pits using an off-sequence pit strategy. They have now made their second stop and fallen from the lead.
Yeah, all of these cars at the front of the pack should be good, but this was, we saw that the Rum Bum machine did gain track position, but shortly thereafter, here we see the 01 and the number 6 car, Rob Liddell, kind of slide by, going through the carousel.
That was sharp by Robin Liddell to tuck up underneath there. That didn't give the Rum Bum Porsche any way to defend. Watch, he'll tuck in right here and seal the deal.
Yeah, Matt's just a little bit offline out in the grade there. There's not the same sort of grip that you're going to have online. And that was just easy pickings for the 2 Camaros.
And the number 9 car with Andy the Hotfoot Lally has also gotten by the 13 Porsche of Matt Plum. I don't mean to make fun of Andy. I'm sure he is going through agony in that car, but he is still driving the wheels off it too. There you see Lally and the Rum Bum Porsche behind.
There's no quitting Andy. We know that. He's a tough old booger for sure.
Guys, I checked in with the Rum Bum team, and they said they're just struggling a bit on top speed. They went here faster than they did here last year in qualifying, so the car is good, handles extremely well. Said we just don't have the legs down the straightaway. And Dorsey, I heard you talking about trying to draft earlier. It's really what they need to do if they want to stay close down this long back straightaway here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, he was up in the draft there with the Camaros for a while, and he stayed there, but once they shook him, it was dropping like a stone from there.
Dorsey, let's talk again about Andy Lally's problem. Can he perhaps relieve some of that heat by raising his feet up on the pedals, or is there danger in doing that?
You try taking your foot off of the pedal and using your heel, or you try even sometimes to take your left foot and go over there and give your right foot a break, get it off that pedal. But whatever you do, it's just masking a problem that he's got. It's going to be tough for him. It's going to be tougher tomorrow, Calvin, when he tries to regroup and drive a 6-hour race tomorrow.
I mean, I think that's the significant factor. He does have a long race. He's got two other co-drivers, a 3-driver lineup here in the Magnus Racing team in the 6 hours of the Glen. But even so, they lean on Andy Lally hard. He's their lead shoe, and again, no pun intended, but they want the speed of Andy Lally, and they need him do 2 or 3 hours tomorrow.
As you see, coming up on 41 minutes remaining.
I don't know if Andy's wearing a hot boot or not. I mean, a regular shoe, it'll melt the sole of the shoe completely or melt the bottom, which is just rubber. And these shoes are fireproof, but they're not very thick. They're not insulated in any way, shape, or form, so they conduct heat pretty thoroughly.
Been a change at the front of this ST pack. Remo Rosidi has got to the front here in the 04. The Porsche. Eversley is up to second. Valiante's dropped back to third. The Honda's run 2 and 3. Mazda back in fourth, but Cayman looking good.
Yeah, those Caymans are actually fitting into that class perfectly, and it's a good package. The car's a really good handling car.
Remo has also run a lot of races with the Compass 360 team, so he knows the performance factor of the Honda very well, so he'll know where he has an advantage and where the Honda may have one.
See Ryan Eversley and Michael Valiante, each in a Honda Civic SI. I
would have to think the Porsche is better on long runs because it's a good balanced car and it doesn't wear the fronts or rears as much as the front-wheel drive cars definitely wear the fronts.
Look at this battle now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th in class, all running close together, led by Matt Pombo in the Mazda.
Pombo boys having a great run, but we know the speed of Stephen McAleer. He's been sensational here the last couple of years in this ST class. You got Wayne Nonamaker, the Salins car. This is their home race, of course, coming off a very, very strong second place run at Kansas, narrowly missing out on the win there.
And 6th in class, Eric Foss in that bright orange BMW. More on that. Let's go to Brian in the pits.
Ludwig Village is the president of BMW North America. And Ludwig, it's great to see you at the racetrack. Give the fans at home some idea of how important it is for BMW to race a car that you see on the showroom floor out here, whether it's in the Tudor Series or in the Continental Series.
I think it's self-explanatory. If you're the ultimate driving machine, you might as well be racing out here, and the cars should resemble to what you can drive on the street. So this is perfect for our DNA.
And you talk about the ultimate driving machine. You're very familiar with that because I understand that you yourself are quite the race car driver, spending a lot of time, I'm sure, in a BMW in vintage racing. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I still love it, but according to my age, I race vintage now.
And I'm sure the board of directors would not be particularly pleased to see you running in a series like Continental Tire or something like that. They need you in the office?
Exactly that. That's exactly the reason. It doesn't have anything to do with my talents.
And we love seeing the BMWs. They've been so strong this year in the Tudor United Sports Car Championship, but it's been a while since we've seen a BMW at Le Mans. And since that was just a few weeks ago, as we look forward to the future, how long is it going to be before we see a BMW running again at Le Mans?
Well, I can't really tell you. We look at Le Mans every year, but we haven't really decided to go there, for example, next year. So we'll see.
Well, I can tell that racing is certainly in his blood, certainly in the BMW DNA. Great to see you.
Great indeed. I met Mr. Village at the Monterey reunion last year, I believe it was. BMW had a nice selection of cars, and Ludwig was driving one of Brian Redmond's old BMW CSLs. Pretty hairy machine.
I'm sure I'll run into him at the HSR events further in the year, and BMW is such a...
Oh, for the lead. This is for the lead, boys. This is for the lead. Lawson, a little bobble there.
He's got fighting back.
Yeah, he's got track position right
coming
here.
Up.
Oh, Robin's trying to try and hug the outside. If he can keep that car position right there, he's going to have the inside line for the next corner.
This is good. Side by side through 3 corners. They gave each other enough room. It's going to go to Liddell.
Yeah, just great experience. Just really sharp driving there by Robin Liddell. Just saw the situation, knew if he could just hold it to his flank and keep that car position, he'd be in great shape for the next break zone.
That was good stuff right there. You don't see that. 2 guys with total confidence in their car control and in each other.
Mm-hmm. Oh, now slower traffic's going to balk Aschenbach briefly. Not so much the fault of the 94. You can't just disappear.
Well, you saw that thing wiggle on the outside of the corner. You're a sit and duck. I mean, you're holding on right. All you can do is just keep the car under control. You can't do a thing about the speed.
0-1 just took 2 tires, remember, on that last pit stop, so that could be a factor a little bit.
Could be.
And you see the 9 car of Andy Lally still in view. He too working traffic, trying to come to grips with the Camaros ahead of him. Another break coming up. We'll be back to Watkins Glen. Welcome back to Watkins Glen, New York, Watkins Glen International Circuit. Home to the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen. As you can see, lots of folks enjoying the weekend, bringing their campers, tents to the track.
Great crowd this weekend, as a matter of fact. Best I've seen in years.
It's always great fun to walk the parking lots and see what people have brought to the racetrack. Some really cool cars.
This is a great place to camp, too. You couldn't have better, scenery and nicer atmosphere.
That was the short course going off to the right as race leader Robin Liddell and the number 6 Stevenson Camaro Z28R heads down into the boot.
Fun racetrack to drive, too. This place is a riot with the elevation change, all the corners.
Here's your ST leader.
Look at this. Eversley had the lead of this motor race, and the 04 has suddenly found some pace and got it back.
Come alive.
Wow.
GS, or Grand Sport cars, run in the top 13 positions, and then this battle.
Remo Rossetti had a really bad lap there and lost the lead and was right back in the clutches of Valiente. But look at this.
That was good car control. Oh, man.
There's another one of those little issues.
Yeah, that was a big issue there almost.
Yeah, he's driving the wheels off that. It's pretty cool.
Well, here's the deal. Dorsey talking about what a great racetrack this is, but guess what, Dorsey? It also burns a lot of fuel, these up hills and long pulls through these corners. So right now in ST, the two cars that you were looking at, the 04, the Porsche, the 75, the Honda from Compass 360, they're both short on fuel. How short? Well, they feel like the 04 is definitely going to be short. He's going to have to come well before the checkered flag. For Carl Thompson at Compass 360, he said, if we can just get a yellow, that will be enough to get us to the line. But for the last 45 minutes, we've been telling Ryan Eversley, you've got to save fuel. So fuel conservation run right now for the leaders in ST.
It's going to be hard to keep the lead, won't it, if he's doing fuel conservation?
Well, the good news is, though, everyone else is in the same boat. Basically, the top 12 cars in this race stopped on the same lap. So unless one make of cars making a lot better fuel, Eversley dropping a wheel there. He's pushing hard, and certainly Valiente drives a very similar car to Eversley. Obviously, another Honda there sits in third, so he'll be in the same fuel situation as well.
You can save fuel here by rolling out of the throttle on these downhills, let the car coast down, but you've got to climb the hill on the other end of it, and there's not much you can say about that.
Rossetti drops off a little bit under braking, and Valiente closes in. You said it, Calvin. You can just see visually that these guys are pushing so hard.
They really are. And talking about fuel, and I think it'd be about an hour 25 if they went all the way to the checkered flag here. And I think these ST cars get about an hour 10, hour 15 typically. So, but as Brian said, this racetrack will burn the fuel.
There's your leaders in both classes, a split screen. As you can watch that, ST on your right side.
GS on the left. Aschenbach just off the pace a little bit there for a second. Looked like he was dropping back.
He's hanging tough. Yep. Aschenbach, of course, won the ST championship back in 2010.
The car's starting to wiggle around a little bit, too. I'm wondering about the tires that he took.
Well, I think they're all maybe running out of tire as we get into the last half hour of this race.
They took 2 on the 01, so, I mean, that could be hurting him right now.
There's nothing wrong with the tire. The Continental Tire is a great tire, but if you decide to take 2 or you do a very long run and you're running a really hard pace, you're just going to lose that last little edge, that last little bit of lap time that you're looking for to hang on the lead or the track position.
And like I said, this racetrack gets really greasy in the afternoon, and we're right in the height of the afternoon, so it doesn't surprise to see the movement in the car.
Let's get more on the ST leading car with Brian.
Standing here with Carl Thompson. Carl, how much would you pay me to throw something on the racetrack right now?
I wish I had more in my pockets. Yeah, we definitely need a yellow right about now. None of us in the front can go to the end as far as we can figure. We're pretty sure about that. But for sure, we can't make it to the end unless we get a yellow. If we can, you got a bottle on you or something we can toss out there?
One of the things, though, that we're watching on the screen is that these guys are fighting very hard at the front. How much do you turn Ryan loose, all the while telling him to save fuel? He's driving the wheels off the thing.
He is, and he's having a good fight with Remo, Canadian boy from Vancouver. So I like seeing the fight. But we've told Ryan you got to fuel conserve. But at the same point, he wants to lead the race. He doesn't. I don't know. He could be second for a little bit and catch a draft. I'd be okay with that.
So right now, it's that conundrum we talk about all the time: go fast, save fuel.
Right, they don't pay money until the checkered flag, so do everything you can to get there.
He said everyone's in the same boat, though. I mean, you see Valiente, they split a little bit with a lap car, but he's running a strong third. He pitted on the same lap as the 2 leaders. So if one comes, we could see everyone flooding into pit lane. They're just going to keep pushing it. There's no point in coming now and knowing you got enough fuel to go, and then there's suddenly a yellow, and the other guys can stay out there and, don't have to do that extra pit stop.
So who's going to blink first? We'll find out. Right now, the 04 is back to the front in the ST class, running 14th in the overall behind the Grand Sport cars. There are your class leaders. We'll be back. Welcome back to Watkins Glen, where we have more attrition to tell you about. Here you see Sam Schultz, who has climbed out of the number 40 Porsche, which sits at trackside. That team has had a very difficult day today. Meanwhile, that's the number 46 BMW of points leader Trent Hinman and his teammate John Edwards, who have had a very difficult day.
Remember, he got clipped by Andy Lally just after he got into the race car. Had to make a pit stop to check out any damage and any repair needed, but maybe there's some body work rub that got into that tire. But this day has gone from bad to worse. We talked about in the open, where these guys were in the points. Trent Hinman still leads, but right now they're having big problems. Down in 19th position, Chris Wilson runs 16th. Look at the other guys. Plum, they're running second. Davis, Liddell, they're leading this race. It's going to be a 20-plus point swing in the points here today. That's huge.
And we talked about that at the start, that we would have a shuffle. Well, this is going to be a major shuffle.
It's been that kind of a season. Now let's get more on how bad that situation is for the 46 with Brian.
You guys, they came in with that flat tire. They repaired it, but when they put the car up on jack stands, the crew member grabbed that left rear and wheel and moved it, and it did move. It's not supposed to do that, obviously. So something in the suspension was loose. They tightened up a couple of bolts, dropped the car, sent him back out. So John Edwards took off down pit lane, but I watched the car as it departed, and it looks like it's crabbing. Otherwise, it's not straight, so it's kind of sideways as it's moving down the racetrack. Something is amiss in the left rear, and they're about to bring the 46 back to pit road.
Yeah, they got to be careful here. That can become a safety issue for John. He's also another driver who's going to be competing in the 6-hour race tomorrow for the BMW factory team. So maybe that tool link is broken, is moving that wheel around, that then cut it on the bodywork, and that's why he got the puncture.
It's got tire rub, too, so it wouldn't last until they fix this. They'll go back to work on it, and you see the bar there. He's going to go between the fender and the tire and roll that fender away.
Key is that rear suspension moving, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I see what he's doing, and I get all that because that's the damage that was done by the tire that was shredded, but the car, to me, does not look square in a straight line. John Edwards actually was reprimanded for scrubbing tires as he headed off down pit lane, weaving the car around just to check and see if he could feel anything. I think there's more than just the tire rub. It'll be interesting to see when he gets back out on track, but I don't think this left rear is at all where it needs to be.
Well, tough position to be in because they're leading the championship with Hinman, and they want to get as many points as they can, but I think what they have to do is look at where everyone runs right now. Edwards runs 19th. The guy in 20th is some 16 laps down on John Edwards, so what are you really going to gain by putting him back out on the racetrack? Yeah, if someone breaks down from here, but that's a big price to pay in terms of putting someone out on the racetrack with some problems with the car.
Yeah, it just gets worse.
You could see it kind of crab walking as it came into the pits. Gap now opened in the ST category.
How are they doing on fuel?
Yeah, well, that's
right.
it, isn't it?
We spoke about it 10 minutes ago like they were light on fuel. I would say within the next 5 minutes, they're going to start having some problems for these cars.
Here goes Rossetti, here comes Eversley. It was a big trim piece that came off the 46 BMW of John Edwards that's lying out there on the racetrack. No sign of a caution to go get it. We'll see. The ST leaders could certainly use a yellow. Welcome back to Watkins Glen. There's our Continental Tire race recap. Class leaders, 3 cautions thus far for 13 laps. That pretty much matches the total last year. 4 lead changes, cars out of the race at 12, but boy, that only begins to tell the story of a race that has featured a big crash at the green flag. We've had cars bouncing off the walls and each other. It has been something to see, and great racing at the front in both the GS and ST classes.
Well, thankfully, all those cautions were early cautions. We haven't had quite that bad a deal after they got it sorted out. But look at the debris out there. I mean, there's just junk from cars, pieces of bodywork. It's been a rough day for these guys.
Robin Liddell disappearing down track, being chased by this man, Lawson Ossenbach, in the car that sat on pole in the hands of his teammate Eric Curran.
Of course, you mentioned thankfully in terms of yellows, but those ST leaders are not saying thankfully.
You're right.
They needed a yellow, and Darren Law just reported that the top three believe they're going to need to stop for fuel, but the guy in fourth, Stephen McAleer, driving a Mazda, that team is saying they may be okay. So maybe this fuel mileage battle is going to play out here in the last 13 minutes.
All searching for a yellow, but they're going to run as long as they humanly possibly can.
Right.
They're not going to come in, and so who stumbles first?
A lot of it is how your fuel system is set up in terms of a reserve pump or whatever. You don't want to stumble and then just be gasping for fuel for half a lap. You're going to lose a lot of time to the other competitors who may still have to pit with you.
Yeah, I mean, two things, too. 3.5 mile track and a lot of hills.
Yep.
And those hills tend to make all the fuel go to the back of the tank, and if your pickup's at the front, you're in trouble.
Radios are crackling up and down the pit lane as the drivers are told, try to save fuel.
I think Eversley's backed off from the leader here, so I think that's definitely what he's doing. Valiente is doing the same, the two Hondas, so we'll have to see how smart Remo Rosidi is, who's maintaining the lead of this race with a good pace. Is he doing it in a way? His last lap time was a 209.3. His fastest lap was a 209.0, so he's only backed off 0.3 of a second, whereas Eversley and Valiente are some 1 second off their best lap, so they're definitely running a slower pace. And with that typically means you're saving fuel.
You can actually, up there at the top of turn 5, when you come to the inner loop up there and start down the hill, you can actually turn the engine off and coast all the way down to the toe of the boot before you re-pop start it.
Now that is a radical fuel-saving maneuver.
And that'll save you some fuel around here. You can do that twice a lap here.
I was going to suggest drafting and feathering the throttle and lifting a little earlier than you would.
There's a lot of ways to gain you some, but if you're not going to make it anyway, you're probably not going to make up more than a lap in the 3.5 mile course.
We talk about balance of performance. That's something that the series does with all of the various makes of cars. Tremendous manufacturer interest in this championship, and they try and make it an even playing field in terms of the performance of the cars through weight and engine restrictors and stuff like that. But they also do it on refueling. They want the cars to refuel a full tank load in the same amount of time. But even so, suddenly you get a long green flag run. This is the true test. Is that Cayman getting as much fuel mileage or better than the Hondas? This will really showcase that today.
Well, it's getting down to crunch time. As you see, less than 11 minutes to go in the race. We'll take another break and come back to take you to the checkered flag and beyond here at Watkins Glen International. Stand by for more of the Continental Tire 150. Welcome back to Watkins Glen, where the question looms larger. Who's going to stop, when, or will you gamble on fuel? Be sure to join us for our next Continental Tire event from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, known throughout the racing world as Mosport. Up in Ontario. You are on board the number 6 of Robin Liddell. One of his rivals, Lawson Ossenbach, we're hearing, may have to pit the 01. One of the ST cars, the BMW of Connor Bloom, has already made a visit to the pits after a cough running out of fuel.
Yeah, Lawson Ossenbach is really backed up from Rob Liddell. I'm not sure if they short-fueled Lawson a little bit when they did their final pit stop to try and gain some track position, but that will definitely backfire. If they've topped him completely, he should have been good to go. But look at this run by BJ Zacharias and the number 14 Darn Racing Nissan here. He has got a tremendous run. They finished on the podium at Sebring, and that Nissan has shown tremendous speed here this weekend.
He's in podium position right now. Will he go from third to second? And here comes the rum bum Porsche behind Matt Plum.
Lally's dropping back. He's back to fifth. I wonder if that's more of a physical ailment than a car ailment.
Oh, the 04 is
he's in a bad spot, too.
There's the leader.
Gosh.
Bad spot to
watch
be
out.
out of
Where do I
gas.
go? Where do I
He needs
go?
to get to one side of the track or the other. You can't stay in the middle of the road.
They just told Ryan Eversley that if he feels a bobble, he's got to get to pit lane
Here's
right
Eversley.
now.
Not far behind him is Valiente.
They don't think he can make a full lap, so they're telling him be very aware.
Fastest car in ST is Wayne Nonamaker in the Salins car. He's having a tremendous run. He'll assume fourth position when he passes the Rosidi car that's running out of fuel. So he's got a great run, ran a lap of 208.7.
Just
That's
got
a few
little
tenths
fuel
quicker.
there.
Just trying to make the pit lane. He's
It's
3
these
corners from the pits.
It's these hills are impossible when if you're out of fuel, you just cannot climb hills.
He's going to coast backwards if he's not careful.
This isn't going to be the only fuel story of this race, I don't think.
Oh, no.
These last 6 minutes are going to be long minutes for these leaders in ST.
If it stumbles, you got to hit pit lane, okay?
Oh.
If it stumbles, you're standing out until she stumbles.
Oh, I thought he said it did stumble. I think that was Carl Thompson saying if it stumbles.
Yeah, they're telling me because they don't think they can do a whole lap if it's. They want to know for sure.
Valiente backed off a little bit.
These two guys had a little bit of argy-bargy at Daytona. Round one, if you remember, a huge crash going into the back, bus stop chicane there. A little bit of a difference of opinion on whose fault it was, but they came together and...
that never happens.
Yeah, that was a big one, though. They really hit the wall hard there, so it wasn't a great start to the championship year for these two drivers who are... I mean, when you talk about the competition level in this class, Dorsey, this is ST, the second of the two classes here, but when you're talking about guys like Eversley, Valiante, and the likes, some great drivers throughout.
We get used to the fact that they're running these gnarly packs, with 8, 10 cars, and they just fight all the way to the finish. They do drive hard, there's no doubt.
Zacharias in the number 14 Nissan has gotten around the 01 of Ossenbach.
Saw that coming. I saw BJ was being really aggressive. Lawson is conserving.
See Liddell there heading down into turn one. It's about a 6-second lead. Actually, it's down to 5.0 as he crosses the stripe. So Zacharias is coming. That last lap was a second and a half quicker than our leader, Rob Liddell. Some of that could have been traffic.
And the 13 of Matt Blum is now closing in on the 01. Brian.
Just checked in with Mike Johnson. He said nothing about Robin Liddell, but I asked about Andy Lally, and he said his feet are in really bad shape. He is not feeling good right now, and the typical race car driver, he's thinking about the here and now. He's not thinking about 6 hours tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that. I mean, I think they should have made a different call to that. It's easy afterwards, but we said at the time, if he's hurting that bad, then, alternate another driver through, and particularly Matt Bell's not competing in the 6 hour here tomorrow, so if he did hurt his feet a little bit, he's got some time to rest and get better for the next round of the championship, and he's got a race to run tomorrow.
I hope they've got a bucket of ice water ready for Andy when he gets out of that car.
Well, that's what they'll do. They'll put his foot right into ice water and soak it and cool it down, and then have a nurse or doctor assess the damage, if you will. And there will be some.
Oschenbach's in trouble. Oschenbach is in trouble here. He is slowing his pace dramatically. He's either out of fuel or just trying to really, really save, knowing he's on the verge of running out.
They just told him, if you feel a stumble, you get in. He said, I just
And when you pit, leave it on reserve. Leave it on reserve when you pit.
I don't understand this, because this car should have been good on the lap they stopped on to make it to the end. So,
here, pit speed limiter.
However, he did pit a couple of laps before the Stevenson car, so maybe that was the margin they were working with.
Puts the Rumbum Porsche just ahead on the road, up into the third and final podium position.
What you want to do when you make that final pit stop, ideally you want to just be inside that fuel window, so if it goes green, but some of these guys, they expect caution. We'd seen a lot at the beginning, and it's been pretty clean here for the last hour or so.
It's all cut and dry now. It's 3 minutes to go. I mean, whatever happens on this lap.
Oschenbach pitted on lap 34, Liddell on lap 36, and we've got a couple of laps to run, so that was the difference.
Yeah, 2 laps.
Meanwhile, no change in ST, Eversley, Valiente, and McAleer.
They have to be on fumes, those guys.
White flag next time by, we're told.
Key for those ST leaders is where is the overall leader. What you don't want to be as an ST car is just in front of the overall leader. So if the overall leader gets the checkered flag, you have to almost do another lap. You ideally want to be just behind them. So
you do another 3.5 miles, which might take you out of contention.
When the clock runs down, you want to be right there.
Let's see what happens here on his last lap, you would think.
He's going to have to do a couple more.
He's going to have to do a couple
more, yeah.
Next time by, they'll get the what?
2 more laps.
There it is.
You hope it's not 3, though. That's the key.
3 would be a bad deal.
Well, as we watch,
Hart has really backed off the pace. Did a 2:13 last lap.
You mentioned Wayne Nonemaker in the Salins car running in 4th place in ST. He is quicker than all the class cars ahead of him.
He's coming hard, but remember, he runs a Cayman, and we had a leader in a Cayman who just ran out.
Yep. These guys, everybody's in coast mode right now, just trying to finish.
Oh, this is Mackler, I think, coming up on Valiente. I'm just hearing that the Mazdas may get slightly better fuel mileage. There you see the Salins car in the background. Will Nonemaker, he's coming hard, got a very quick car.
As they came up to start-finish on the last lap, I thought I saw Valiente sort of waving as if to say, pass me on that side if you're going to.
Mackler's coming.
Oh, he's coming.
Yeah, he's going to be around here in just a second.
Back with Liddell on the lead.
Well, they're about half a lap behind Rob and Liddell because they're going through the boot section right now as Liddell hits the stripes. So there's about half a lap between the GS and overall leader and ST
there
leader.
It is. 1 lap to go.
They should be safe then. They're not going to have to go the extra anyway.
Yep. So the ST cars will have this half lap plus 1 more to go.
And they're going to risk it. There's no doubt now.
Yep.
Yep, we can't stop now.
Look at them all coasting around.
You are sweating bullets.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Like I say, you can turn the engine off on those downhills and get a half a lap without getting any throttle at all. But you got to climb the hill on the other side, and that's the problem.
GS class Camaro goes by the ST class Civic.
In the background, you see Valiente with Mackler all over his rear bumper, and Nonamaker not far behind those guys.
Yeah, this shouldn't last long. I would think Mackler should be able to drive around here.
That's Nonamaker in the bright red, yellow, and black car.
And he's coming too. There it is. That's kind of what I figured would happen.
Pass for second in ST with 1 lap to go.
Nothing you can do. I mean, you're sitting duck. You're trying to get what you can.
Yeah, Valiente is just running to a number right now.
Could be a big day for Mackler. He may get the championship lead here with a second place finish. Came in here third in points, but just 5 points out of the lead. The leaders in ST, LaFouge and Cook are sitting back in the 11th spot, so not a great day for them.
Look at this drafting now. He's tucked up underneath the Mazda. He won't try to pass him. He's just going to sit there.
Wow, what a run for the 5 car from 31st on the starting grid. They're now running second. Oh, coming through traffic. Everybody coasting to the end.
Yeah, look who's right behind him. That's why he's forcing the issue. Look who's right on his tail. That's Zacharias, I believe. This is for the lead of the race.
And he's trying to
Liddell
get
trying to hang on.
He's got the nose.
He's sideways.
It's going to be a drag race to the finish.
Unbelievable.
Oh, nose to tail. Robin Liddell and BJ Zacharias come across to win in Grand Sport.
That was too close for comfort.
That was really close.
I wonder how much of a role traffic played in that.
Yeah.
Boy,
If
that
he hadn't
was
broke
close.
loose, he had that pass made.
Now down in the international boot.
Now it's, can you guys get it to the finish line?
Huff and puff.
They're through the downhill section. They got just hills now to climb.
Done a great job of managing. Mackler runs second. Here comes Nonamaker looking for the
to
way
the
by.
inside.
He's looking for another podium spot.
He's going to get it right here.
I think he is.
Finished second at the last race, right behind the car he's behind right now, Valiente and Gilsinger at Kansas. But can he make a pass here in 2 corners to go?
Can Valiente just hold on? Does he got enough? We know he's got enough speed in the car, but has he got enough fuel to use it?
Now, I'm tempted to say Eversley could coast from here, but remember
Yeah,
what
no,
happened at
we
Mazda
said that.
Raceway Laguna Seca?
Yeah, I did.
No way.
Trap me in that, too.
But he thinks he's got it, and he does.
Woo! Yeah, baby. All right, man. Way to go. Woo!
And the battle for second and third.
Now,
Nonamaker got it. He got it.
Got
Silence,
past Valiente.
get a podium.
Stephen McAleer second. Wayne Nonamaker third.
Wow.
In the house car from Salins.
No guarantee we'll get a winner's interview, though, because they might not make it back.
That's right. We'll have to send a safety car out for them.
Great day for the Salins team. They'll be pumped about that.
Well, second victory of the season and second career class win for both Robin Liddell and Andrew Davis up front. Third career win for Ryan Eversley. First for Ryan Kimball. Welcome back to Watkins Glen after a terrific race in the Continental Tire 150 at the Glen. We are now at the halfway point of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge season. Let's get down to Victory Lane and hear from our winners in the GS class with Brian Till.
A very happy Stevenson group, and Andrew Davis, you started things off, and at the start, I mean, it was ugly from the get-go, and it didn't get any easier for you, did it?
No, it was a mess at the start. Yeah, all sorts of carnage behind us. Luckily, we started up front to get away from all that carnage. And it took me until that next restart where I got a great jump, and then I had the best view in the house. That clear track around Watkins Glen is something special. So I just put my head down and didn't pay attention to my mirrors. And the Stevenson Camaro's E28.R was just awesome. I was really, really proud of the team, the guys. We made the right changes leading up to the start of the race. And I was just happy to bring it up in first and lead so many laps there at the beginning. So it was a great stint from my standpoint. Handed it off to Robin, and then he had the trickier job than I did because of the longer heat.
Yeah, win number 2. And Robin, I mean, thanks for making it interesting for television. We really appreciate that there at the end. Were you not aware of what was going on right behind you as far as the 14?
No, you're so welcome. It was all for your benefit, Brian. No, I really actually didn't know. I knew there was a car closing, but I still don't know all the car numbers in the series. I thought it was the Porsche, the yellow Porsche. And at the start of the previous lap, I looked in my mirror, saw a yellow Boxer. I thought, oh, that's him. I've got a good gap. And then suddenly I see this Nissan all over me, and I was in a 4-car ST battle coming out of the boots. Plus, we got another bobble with the fuel because we were right on the money with the fuel at the end. So very tense at the end. Nearly lost it on the last corner, but I wasn't aware what was going on until 2 corners to go. I mean, really happy with the team. I mean, both the 6 and the 9 crew did an awesome job. We were so tight in the pits with the job that the guys did, and the strategy was perfect. I mean, running out of gas on the last lap, it was like, shades of old when we won the 6 hours here 2 years ago. Really somehow made a decent restart and got by, like, I don't know, 8 or 10 cars. I don't know how I did that, but managed to come around in the lead, had that touch with the Aston in the carousel, but I think that everybody realized he just turned down and pinched me, so it wasn't my fault. But yeah, very happy with the car, the team, thanks to Chevy, Stevenson, and all the guys. Andrew obviously did a good job, and thanks to Pratt & Miller for their support.
Congratulations on win number 2 of the season.
All right, thanks very much, Brian. Nice interview there with Robin Liddell, who even did a little officiating into the bargain. Here are the revised points.
Well, that's a shake-up. I mean, look at Trent Hinman, and they had such a beautiful lead, and it's all gone south on them the last 3 rounds. There we see Edwards in 30s. No spoke to this teammate about Davis and Liddell. 2nd win of the year. They're coming fast to us.
No surprise, the guy at the top, Matt Plum, that rum bum Porsche. I said it at the start of the show. They're tough now.
And look at all those brands up and down the far right of that graphic. Diversity is the name of Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge Racing. Here are the updated points in the Street Tuner class.
Big leap there for McAleer and McCumbee. They jumped to the front by 9-point margin. That is huge. LaFuge and Cook didn't have the best today, but still scored points. And Nonamaker, they're having a great run here. 2nd podium in 2 race weekends. He's up to 4th.
Now let's go down to Victory Lane and hear from our winners.
Ryan Eversley and Kyle Gimple celebrate the victory. And Kyle, your very first ever in Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge Series. How special is this one, especially as close as this one was?
It's really special. We were, for the last half hour, Ryan was saving fuel, and it came down to the wire, and we were praying that, we were going to make it on fuel, and we did. Started the car off in 3rd. We had that huge wreck on the start. Restart came, got by the MX-5, held it 2nd, all the way to Ryan, gave him a nice car, all 4 corners clean, and he took it to the finish. But that last half hour, that was a nail-biter for sure.
Was it more difficult on Kyle, Ryan, or was it more difficult on you in the car? Because you were driving the wheels off of it. It was sliding around all the while, and Carl just kept saying, save fuel, save fuel.
Yeah, our radio wasn't working. But so I was like, guys, so I had no idea, but I knew the clock was running down and I could see the pace was falling off. As soon as Remo bobbled, I thought, okay, definitely we have to save big time now. So I started short shifting everywhere, coasting a lot, and they backed up too. And then the radio came back at the last second. They told us that we were okay, or that the gap was increasing. So I saved and we made it to the end. Can't thank Continental Tire enough for letting us hold on there at the end. And huge shout out to Children's Consumer Foundation, which has hopefully got a lot of TV time, which is for a great cause trying to NF, and that's really what we're racing for. So thank you guys so much. Thanks to Compass 360 and Honda HPD.
And congratulations. This is the first win for Compass 360 since VIR in 2011. Darren?
Hey, BJ, phenomenal run, man. You got to the podium. We were watching the thing on TV, and you were sideways underneath Robin. You almost had it.
Yeah, it was the last 5 corners, we were charging pretty hard. First of all, I got to hand it to Kevin Doran. I think the strategy really paid off today. Said it was really good, but that last time we just crammed as much fuel as we could in that little 6-cylinder and just went with left side tires. The car was really set up well. So we just kept putting our head down and let the rest of the field kind of come back to us. But we ran into about 5 or 6 ST cars coming to the finish, and we just kept trying to pick holes, and it was a little bit of a chess match, and there was a little bit of a door opened up, and he gave me plenty of racing room. He was very considerate, but hit the curb and got it sideways. It was all good.
Good job, man. Traffic always plays a role, guys.
These guys were all great interviews. They all have fun. Our next stop will be the Mobil 1 Sports Car Grand Prix presented by Hawk Performance from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in Bowmanville, Ontario. So we'll kick off the second half of the season north of the border, and we'll see you then. For now, for Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Brian Till, and Darren Law, I'm Bob Varsha. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you from Mossport. So long, everyone.